my mission was July 2012 to July 2014. I started off in Canales in Cardenas. It's one of the smallest areas in the mission. Well, it's pretty good geographical size, but the town of Canales is really, really small. But the people there are really, really nice. But you'll see, dogs running in the streets. It's dirt roads, and it's generally pretty poor, that area. But once again, I loved it. It was my first area, and so it was a little bit of a culture shock at first. But there were new things that you never saw before. Like I said, one example is dogs. They just run all over the street, and they're just wild dogs. And then we had a tarantula in my house one time, and there was a toad in my house one time. There's just different animals, and so there's just things that I was just never used to. And kind of a rule of thumb is every creature in Mexico is slightly bigger than it is in the United States. Every spider is a little bit bigger, every lizard is a little bigger, but you get used to them. My second area was called Ciudad del Carmen. It was an island out in the middle of the ocean, and it's one of the, I'd say, more popular areas for missionaries because you're in the middle of an ocean, and it's really pretty. It's a little bit more modern. It has like Walmart and different things like that, and so it has a little bit more U.S. feel to it. There's like oil workers are there, and so it's a little bit richer area. And once again, the members there are just awesome, in both places. But Ciudad del Carmen was definitely one of my favorite areas, just because you get there and it's just everything's new, everything's different, and I really love the people there. After that, I was in Villahermosa, and I had two different areas in Villahermosa. I had one area that was called Primero de Mayo, which was my area included the temple and the mission offices. I was right, smack dab in the middle of Villahermosa. And that was a nice area. It was my smallest area, but really some amazing members there. And it was cool because I got to work in the offices there and be close to the president and things like that. So that was really neat. And then after that, I moved to Canales, which we actually divided my area, but that one was probably my most dangerous area because it was like a place called Bosques de Saloya. And so a little bit more dangerous, especially at night. But the people overall, they were really receptive, and the members there are super awesome, super strong. The bishop, Villalobos, he's probably not the bishop anymore, but he was amazing. He was so kind to us, and so you get some amazing members there. But once again, that's more like you're in the city, and so you'd ride a lot of combis, is what they're called. They're little vans that they convert into like little vans that you sit in, there's chairs all around. And so you're in combis a lot, you drive in taxis, and the taxi drivers are absolutely crazy. Every day they just are the craziest drivers, but they all seem to, everyone's crazy though, so it kind of works out, They all know how to drive crazy. But my last area was called Tenosique, and it was out in the middle of nowhere, and it was amazing. I loved it. It was more in the jungle. It was not too far from Guatemala, and they had these little things called Pochi Mobiles, and they're like these 3-wheeled vans they take you around in, and they were super fun. And so I love that area too. It's just different, because you're in the middle of the jungle-ish feel, and you kind of don't realize you're like on the ride down. You're going, where on earth is this place? Because it's just jungle, jungle, jungle. Then you finally find Tenosique. But all my areas were so different. There was an island, there was a dirt poor town, there was a city, and then there was a jungle. But they're all amazing in their own way. And so that's what you'll find is in the Villahermosa mission. Every area is different, but they're all pretty in their own way. It's so green, and it's so beautiful. There's animals and the plant life. I mean, anything grows down there. And so all the food is very natural and everything like that. So they're all different, but I loved every single area. They're all neat.